Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to episode 216 of the Stone Age Gamer podcast for the week of August 24th, 2018. I am Dan Ryan, and joining me tonight is something clever that if I made up ahead of time I would say now, but I didn't, and I'm just reading what Kris wrote, Dean DeFalco.
Get these hands! Get these hands! Get these hands!
Beastie Boys?
Beastie Boy. Beastie Boy. Beastie Boy. Oh, good stuff. Inside wrestling. Inside baseball wrestling. But, good stuff.
Wendy. I'll be your daddy now. So, Kris is out on vacation riding roller coasters and probably sleeping. So Dean and I will be handling this month's 10, 20, 30. But before we go any further, here's your weekly reminder that you, yes, you listener, can email us at mail@geekade.com. Just include the word Stone Age Gamer in the subject line, and you can let us know what you think of the show, what topics you would like us to discuss in the future, or just say, hey, because we always want to hear from you, the listener.
A quick aside, I'm not on the show all the time, but, I do check the emails because I made the website, so...
You did.
I check these things sometimes. And it's super nice getting emails from you guys. Thank you. Also, it's really nice when you guys are like, I miss Dean. And I'm like, I miss you guys too. Oh, man, that really warms my heart. Every once in a while, everyone's like, yeah, where is he? And I'm like, I'm just doing meth. That's fine. It's cool.
Just over here doing meth. It's all good.
Just tweaking out in the corner. It's cool. I'm fine.
Can't feel my teeth. Or I can.
I ripped a few out just to make sure they were there. It's cool. They're there. I can't put them back in now, but it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, other than what will amount to a crippling drug problem at some point in the near future, how the hell are you, Dean?
I'm good, man. Actually, right before this podcast, I was playing some Dead Cells, and that game's fucking cool. That game is really fucking cool.
Is it?
Yeah. You gotta it's like Metroidvania, except they took out all the exploration stuff, and they're like, yeah, no, we're just gonna mainline you combat all the time, combat for days, just keep fighting, never stop fighting, always keep doing it, be angry, be rageful, murder everything. That's the game, and it's great. It's a very specific type of Metroidvania, and it does it very, very well. I mean, it's been out in early access for ever. And it finally went full release, I think, a week or 2 weeks ago. And it's really cool. There were a lot of, other games around this time coming out. Hollow Knight came out a few weeks before that.
Right.
There was Death's Gambit, which is the new Adult Swim game. But, as far as the new coat of paint on Dead Cells compared to everything else, man, that game is really, really cool. It's, really fast and everything. And it's a lot of fun. So... if you get a chance, play it. But I know you're looking forward to tomorrow because you got a little something with Guacamole coming out,
dude.
And Melee.
Oh my god! So I turned on the PS4 yesterday, and
right.
The little icon was there for Guacamole 2, and I was like, oh fuck! Maybe because I pre-ordered it, I get early access. So I got all excited, went over, and it was 1 day, 16 hours. Son of a bitch! Not cool. Don't put. I know that the icons
that happened. Yeah, that happened when Jessie played Captain Spirit. It pre-installed, but she wasn't able to play it till a few hours after. So I was downloading it for her because she went to work, and then I was like, I wonder if I could play this, and it was still dead. So
I wonder if I can do something that she's been waiting to do for a long
yeah.
time, and then rub it in her face.
We played it together, and I mean that game's really cool. I'm excited for Life is Strange 2 to come out now because of that. They actually just released the trailer today for the new one.
I was talking to one of our listeners on Twitter about Life is Strange, and I will go back to it. He kind of convinced me to go back, but I gotta tell you, man, the first two downloadable episodes of Life is Strange did not hook me.
Oh no, get all the way through it, man. Get all the way through it. I can't say it's it didn't hit me as hard as I thought it would, but There were definitely some twists and turns there. I liked what was going on with the whole, missing persons thing. Like, that does come to a head in a conclusion and everything. And I mean, overall, like, I liked Max. I like Chloe. So I would say get through it, man. It goes places.
I mean, it's there, but like I just finished. Tiff and I finished over the weekend. SteamWorld Dig 2.
Oh, what'd you think, man? I fucking love that game.
Yeah, I fucking love it. Like the first SteamWorld Dig, like we had talked about it. I don't remember if it was when you. I think it was when you were still on the show.
Probably.
But man, like I loved the first SteamWorld
really
Dig,
good.
and
really good.
And this one was just the right amount of sequel. You know, like
absolutely.
it was just long enough, and there was enough twisty turny plot stuff to go on, and then it was over, and I loved it.
Did you play SteamWorld Heist?
I have not. I have it. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
I mean, it's like an entirely different game.
Right. It's a totally different genre style, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It is. It absolutely is. It's like a tactical turn-based type thing.
Right. Which I'm into.
Almost like it's like a 2D XCOM, and it's a lot. I wouldn't say it's a lot longer than SteamWorld Dig, but it's a lot slower paced because you're not really moving around all that much. However, the stories intertwine, and it is really cool, man. Oh, it is really fucking cool.
I love that world. I love the characters that they've created.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way this one looks. Like playing it on PS4,
great.
like it looks great. The upgrades are always fun. Like I love that franchise. I love it to itty bitty pieces.
Oh, absolutely. I was waiting for the game to get boring, and it never did. Like it
never does.
Fun.
There's always something to do, and then it's over.
Yeah, that's just good pacing. That's just a developer knowing how to pace a game out. I feel like at that point,
that's a really good way to put it. It is one of the most well paced games that I think I've ever played. And the first one was too, it was like always something to do, always the next thing. And then you get down to Vectron and like, oh, this is fucking cool. And then it was over and it's like, shit, all right, So
yeah, it was really neat. So I mean, if you get a chance with Heist, check it out. It's a bit slower paced and a little bit longer, but it's definitely worth the look. I was gonna go somewhere else with this. It totally slipped my mind.
Was it to the Gintama collab in Japanese Puzzle and Dragons?
Yeah. Also, they're gonna be ending that manga soon, so I guess that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. People are pretty excited about it from what I can gather. I know nothing of the series, except that some of the cards are really cool, and their evolutions are cosplays of Puzzle and Dragons characters.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Really
and
yeah,
they did a really nice thing in this one where every single card that you pull, whether it's gold or diamond from the egg machine, can be turned into an assist card.
Oh, that's
which
neat. Okay.
Gives you actually some value from some of the shit that inevitably
right, some of the
you're
stuff
just
can be
not
garbage,
going to use.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but
that's dope.
There you go. There's my weekly.
Cool,
I haven't been on the show in 2 weeks. There's my weekly Puzzle and Dragons reference. Because we have to get it in there. It is one of the boxes we have to check. So,
hey, I get it. It's fine.
Have you been playing anything else, or do you want to jump into the topic for the week?
I guess let me think about it for a second. I've been super busy. I got like a lady in my life right now, so I've kind of been. Yeah. So like, I'm not gonna get like too personal with anything.
Oh, you should.
Like,
totally get personal.
No.
That's what the whole show is about tonight, Dean.
I mean, listen, this isn't the after hours version of Stone Age Gamer, which we only did once on the second episode.
That's right.
But I've been spending some time with her, so I when I'm not really at work, I the day that I only have 2 days off, so the one day at home I do like laundry and crap. Oh yeah, that's the other game I was playing. I was playing Sleep Tight. Have you checked that out or heard of it?
I know nothing about this game.
So it's like a tower defense sort of game. Somewhere between a tower defense and like a Geometry Wars type game almost, where you're this kid who goes to bed at night. The monsters come out, and instead of being eaten by the monsters, he hurts them with guns. He or she.
Nice.
There's
Is
a bunch
this
of Alaka.
Steam?
It's everything, I believe.
Okay.
You can get it on PS4, Steam. I got it on the Switch. It
Okay.
works great. It's a lot of fun. It's essentially just a wave-based like combat game. There's not really too special with it. I was actually hoping for a little bit more, but just for mindless button mashing and hanging out, it was a pretty cool game. I got a bunch of the unlockables out of the way. There's a lot of really cool, like there's a tech tree that you can get, so it's kind of cool going through that. But yeah, besides that, I've kind of just been laying low a little bit. I had Super Mario Aces. That game's really dope. I think you guys talked about it at some point. That's a really cool game.
I do definitely want to check that. I still haven't played that. I do want to check that out.
It's cool. It's really in depth with the mechanics. Like it's easy to pick up and play, but you can also get really, really crazy with the mechanics. Like you can curve the ball. There's 4 different types of shots. There's a power shot that you can aim. There's like a block for the power shot where if you time it perfectly, you knock it right back. But if you don't time it right, it'll break your racket. Like, it's totally nuts. And it's really cool. They got some cool characters in the game. They've been doing, I think, like DLC characters, I guess you'd call them. They're like unlockable characters, but they've been doing them where if you participate online, they give you the characters. So I think the first one was Koopa Troopa or Dry Bones. It was one of the two. It was some sort of turtle guy. So that was really, really cool. For $50, you get a lot of tennis out of it. The single player isn't great, but it's definitely better than their last entry where there basically was no single player. So,
well,
yeah.
All right then.
Yeah. So I guess let's get the show on the road.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, if this is your first time checking out the 10-20-30, what it is that Dean and I will be looking back at the games that came out 10, 20, and 30 years ago. So we're looking at August of 2008, 1998, and 1988. So we're going to start by just going a little bit in the past. 10 years ago to that wonderful summer of August 2008. Everybody was full of hope, full of promise of what was going to happen, and Nintendo decided to release for the Wii Super Mario Sluggers. Now, we have covered pretty extensively on this show how much I did not play the Wii. So, Dean, I'm hoping you have some experience here so that you can talk a little bit about Super Mario Sluggers.
Yeah, I got a little bit for you. So the game's cool because it's a sequel to the GameCube one, which I for some reason is escaping me, but it's a similar sort of name. There's a Super Mario baseball game.
Wasn't
this
that
is the sequel
Super
to
Mario All-Stars or something like that?
No, but I'll tell you what, while I'm talking, I will look it up.
Well, you talk, I'll look. I got that.
All right. So this game was neat because it added like a bunch of modes and everything. They really tried to beef up the roster with a lot of really cool characters. One cool thing about this is they added all these Donkey Kong Country characters. So you had Diddy, Dixie, Donkey, Cranky, Funky Kong, and they also had the Donkey Kong from March of the Minis, which was kind of really neat. The bad thing was, if I'm not mistaken, by default, the controls were waggle controls. So you
That sounds probably correct.
Yeah, so that was the shitty thing about the game, was the fact that if you wanted to swing the bat, you had to swing the Wiimote, and if you wanted to throw a pitch, you had to, again, move the Wiimote. Now, I believe there were 3 different control modes for this. There was just the Wiimote, there was the Wiimote in the nunchuck, and then there was the Wiimote held sideways. The only way I've ever played this is with the Wiimote, and I don't really remember having a great time with it because waggle controls. So
because waggle,
yeah.
And it's just it's not great. Now the GameCube one was Mario Superstar Baseball. And
there you go. Thank you.
I remember having a little bit of fun with that game, but being the baseball purist that I am to a point.
Well, I was gonna
suppose.
say you're a big like the show guy. So,
Yeah, like
comparing that to the show, it doesn't really stack up.
It just really doesn't. Like when I'm looking for a baseball game, that's Mario baseball is just not at all what I'm going for. But I know that these games have been relatively popular. There was a Wii U version, right? Wasn't there a Wii U baseball one too?
Not that I know of.
See, this
I
is
don't
how little
think so.
I pay attention.
So,
and Chris and I went through all the Mario games, and I can't even. That's how little Mario baseball
cool,
means
man.
to me.
So, from what I remember, this one kind of killed the. I guess you'd call it a franchise, more or less.
Well, sure.
After
I mean,
this,
the Mario sports games have always done relatively well for themselves.
Well, the Olympic ones did pretty well. But on the GameCube, I feel like on the GameCube, Nintendo was like this crazy, edgy college teen that was experimenting with everything. Like, hey, let's get this crazy-ass horror game called Resident Evil on our system. Cool. Hey, let's take all our Mario characters and put them into serious sports games with, like, dope mechanics. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and all these things worked. And then they tried to do it again with these gimmicky controls. And it didn't really work out. I mean, actually, Resident Evil 4 on the Wii was okay. It was a novel gimmick at the time, but did it really need to happen again? Because it was on like every other system at that point. It was on the PlayStation 2, which was probably the best version of it.
Don't let Chris hear you say that. He will fight you.
Well, that had the Ada Wong stuff on it, didn't it? Like, and I thought you didn't get that with the GameCube version. I could be wrong. It might have just been unlockable, and then on the PS2 version, it might have been by default. But I thought there was something special about the PS2 version that the GameCube version didn't have. I could be mistaken. If I am, hey, correct me. I'm fallible. It's cool.
Send us your hate mail or and/or corrections at mail@geekade.com.
Yeah, just make the subject line "fuck you, Dean." So yeah, it's that easy.
That's the way I always send emails to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck you, Dean.
So I feel like when the Wii came along, they just kind of dropped the ball with a lot of the cool things that they were doing on the GameCube. And yeah, like this is just an example of something that was good in practice. Like they had a lot of great things about it, and then the controls weren't superb. I'm not going to say they were terrible, but they definitely weren't great.
It was just another example of shoehorning controls in where they didn't necessarily need to be. Like you had Wii Sports for the baseball thing, and that was fun once. But then you're not going to play that doesn't engender a lot of repeat plays that way. Cuz it's just tiring.
Yeah.
It's tiring. So
yeah. So I mean that's really all I had to say about the game. I mean it wasn't the best game in the world, but definitely wasn't the worst ever because there's a lot of shit on the Wii. So like that's definitely like a high mid-tier game. Like
right.
There's definitely plenty below it. But yeah, just as far as the pedigree it came from, because the first one was really really good. So it was a letdown compared to the first one.
All right. Well. Switching gears now, jumping into something that came out for the 360 and the PS3. I don't believe there were physical versions of this game. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this was only a downloadable title. But that is Bionic Commando Rearmed, a remake of the original NES Bionic Commando. And that is a franchise that I really, really like. I didn't necessarily... I didn't fall head over heels in love with the modern updates, the 3D games, like I was hoping to. I just really didn't love the character design, and they just made it a little too... It was, again, Chris and I talk about how video games went through a very brown period, the Gears of Warring of most franchises. And, it was just kind of ugly and gray and brown, and I just didn't love it. But this one was 2D side-scrolling Bionic Commando just with better graphics. And it was... it wasn't something that if you don't like Bionic Commando, which is a game where you can't jump, you can only swing with your bionic grappling hook arm. If that's not a gameplay that you're into, this game was going to do nothing to convince you that it's something you should play.
I mean, so really the only bad thing about this game is the fact that it was a prequel for a game that was gonna suck balls. Because you'll talk about it next year, but I bought that Bionic Commando, whatever the fuck. I think it was just called Bionic Commando. Yeah, and it was hot garbage. Like, it didn't work well. The swinging mechanic was dumb. Like, it was really brown and gray and dark. But this was the polar opposite. One, the controls were fun. Two, it was bright and, like, super 80s. Like, everything was over the top. Did you see the cover art for this game?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's fucking great. You got someone with a Tom Selleck mustache on the front with his little bionic arm. You got motherfucking M. Bison wannabe in the background. It's great. It's soup. It's perfect. It's everything
classic
it needed
Capcom.
to be. It is. And
it is everything that was great about Capcom in the 80s and 90s right here in this wonderful little downloadable package.
Absolutely. And it did what it was supposed to, because it got you excited for the game coming out. It was just, the problem was the game coming out was a huge fucking letdown. So
was just a gigantic disappointment.
It was. And I mean, speaking about disappointments, because there's not much else to say about that game. Bionic Commando is a great game. If you haven't played it, and
it's awesome.
if there's a way out there to get it, I would try and download it. But speaking of disappointments, let's talk about our next game.
Oh, you think it's a disappointment, huh? Too Human. Now, Too Human for the Xbox 360 is a game that I think was coming out for 58 years.
Yes.
And it was Silicon Knights, right? Silicon Knights is the studio that published it. It was Microsoft exclusive. This was supposed to be this just gigantic, massive, important franchise.
All right, so
that was going to be
it was gonna rule everything.
Big thing.
So yeah, this thing was in development for 10 years. Originally supposed to be on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation,
right,
in '99,
and then to the GameCube.
Then to the GameCube in 2000, and then it finally went to Microsoft in 2005, and then it came out in 2008. Now, at this point, what Microsoft's Xbox released, I want to say, 2006, 2007, the 360?
Yeah. Something like that.
You're not, like, super far into the life cycle of the Xbox. You know, at most 2 years, at the least, like, a year. And the games that came out around that time were not great. Like, it's speaking to the standards of, like, what games came to be towards the end of the 360's life cycle. There's a huge difference, because there's a huge graphical upgrade. There's a big computing upgrade and stuff. And just, I don't think a lot of people had a feel for it back then. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, you have this game that just the hype is beyond for it. Like, this is Duke Nukem levels of, like, hype.
Well, now we do have to put out, though, the reason that this game was so hype is because Silicon Knights, for those of you who don't know or who don't recognize the name right away, they kind of made their bones. They did Blood Omen Legacy of Kain on the original PlayStation, which is awesome. Then 6 years later, in 2002, they released one of the best games for the GameCube, which is Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem, which has
such a huge cult following behind it.
As well it should. It did really fun and interesting, new, different things with the survival horror genre that was so huge at the time. It played tricks on you as you were, like, playing through the game. It would shut your screen off. And you'd be like, oh, fuck, my TV turned off, and then it would pop back on. Like, just little things where the game itself would fuck with you. And it was, it was awesome. And then they did a really solid remake of Metal Gear Solid, also for the GameCube, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah,
which was awesome.
Top-notch game. And
then it was, okay, but when is Too Human coming out? When is Too Human? Because this was the thing that they had been talking about the whole time. Like, all of their games this is the thing we wanted to make. It's Norse mythology. It's in in the future, though. So like it's just this
cyberpunk.
crazy
It's nuts.
cyberpunk Norse mythology. It was going to be a trilogy. Like, the hype was insane.
Yeah, and, that's the thing. On paper, this should have been a slam dunk because, it was an action RPG, and a lot of people were into that. This is going down the same vein as, like, Diablo, Torchlight, that sort of stuff, Divinity. I don't think the original one was even out back then, but those sort of games. And just people were eating that sort of stuff up because those games didn't come out all the time, like Baldur's Gate.
Right.
Probably more towards Diablo, but that line. And when they came out, they were a big deal. And the fact that this was like a futuristic thing, they had all this lore and stuff planned out, like you were saying. And the game came out and it just fell flat on its fucking face. Oh, man.
Because the game came out and it was good. It wasn't great. And this was a game that, because of the hype, it had to be great.
I don't
and
even know
was
if
okay.
it was...
I mean, like, if you look at reviews for it, like, everything ranges in the 6 to 7 range. Like, it's okay. It's a game. It does what, it functions, and there's some cool ideas in it, and there's some decent fun to be had to a point, but there's just, it wasn't what everybody expected it to be. Like, look at it like this. The Spider-Man game that's coming out for PlayStation in September.
Right.
That game has to be great. If it's good, it's a complete and utter failure as a game.
No, you're right, and that's going to what you're saying is the amount of money and time that went into this. You're right. It has to be a slam dunk for this to work, and that's the problem. They spent all this money and time with this game, paying for rights and switching it over. 10 years worth of development time for the game to not do well. And I mean, you're saying it was okay. I played the game. I thought it was pretty bad, but I get.
Yeah.
It's in an era where, people didn't really perfect controls and stuff for these sort of games on consoles either. And this was a very bold move for what they were doing.
Yeah.
So, I give it a pass on some things in retrospect now, but it's still not a good game or not a great game, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, ultimately an unfortunate disappointment. Unlike the last game we're going to talk about that came out in August of 2006, or 2008. This wasn't on Chris's list originally. Chris puts these lists together, but I happen to be looking at stuff.
This is a last-minute guy for you, huh?
Yeah, and it showed that it came out in August of 2008 for the Xbox Live Arcade. I think that's correct. But what I'm talking about is Braid. Braid was one of those games that kind of came out of nowhere and was sort of something like I felt similarly to Braid as I feel to Cuphead now. Like, man, I wish I could play this.
Yeah, it's in that vein of Braid, Cuphead, Limbo. It was this indie game,
totally different game than Cuphead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Yeah,
of course. But
it's
that indie darling aspect to it, and I mean, there's an exclusivity to it. Back then, Xbox Live was killing it with their arcade stuff. This is where indie games went to live, and Braid was one of the first big ones to take off. After that, you had Trials, you had Limbo, you had Mr. Explosion Man, Miss Explosion Man.
Right, Geometry Wars.
Geometry Wars was a huge first one. And this gave, indie people an outlet. And Braid was one of the, from what I remember, one of the first big ones. Because I remember playing this game and I was like, holy shit, this isn't just like some, nickel and dime game to throw away money on. This is an actual thing to, get into. And the coolest thing for it, if you haven't played it, is it was a puzzle platformer. And
that's
you had this
really clever.
Yes, they had this rewind mechanic in the game that you had to use to help you solve the puzzles. And man, did you really you had to think about what you had to do before everything happened in a level, and it did it so smart and so well, and there was very little downtime in between, deaths and stuff like that, that it made the game so easy just to pick up and play. And just thinking about it makes me want to play it again.
And it's such a gorgeous game too.
Oh, the art design was great.
Just an absolutely beautiful game. Now, the guy who made it made a follow-up, The Witness, which I never played. Have you ever played that one?
That's the walking simulator. They came out, I think like last year or 2 years ago. 2016, 2 years ago. I haven't played it, but from what I have heard from people that have played it, they love it. But it's a very specific type of game, so you have to be into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and as was Braid. Braid is certainly
not
for everybody, and it's kind of unfair because it looks like a cutesy little platformer, like, oh, this looks cool, I'll check this out. And then what you get is this really dense and intentional puzzle game that is not fucking easy at all.
No,
this
not
game
at all.
is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And you really, like you said, you really, really have to think about what you're doing to figure this game out.
Yeah, you got to think like 3 steps ahead. But that's what made the game cool. And I haven't played The Witness, but I would put The Witness closer akin to something like Myst.
Okay.
So, if you like that sort of game, which there are a lot of people out there that do, which is cool because when I was a kid, Myst was like a huge nerd game.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to play it. Yeah, but I'm glad that's a thing people are still making now because it's a very cool sort of game. But yeah, just going back to Braid, there was something special with it. And I can't put my finger on it. I think it was just because it was just the first of something like this. I'm not going to say it started like an indie revolution, but it was definitely a part of it when it was becoming a big, big thing. And it was one of the front runners on the Xbox Live Arcade. Like if I had to recommend a game to someone like back then, it was Braid. And oh man, that game was so cool.
It gave indie games credibility. It gave
absolutely.
Yeah, it really it made it feel like, okay, no, this is something that I should legitimately spend money on. This isn't just, some dude in his garage threw together a game and look, it's available. Like a lot of the homebrew scene was, and not to disparage homebrew titles because there's a lot of fun to be had with that too, but it really did give legitimacy to this kind of DIY game development that has taken the industry by complete storm now. Now indie studios are indie in as much as they're not multi-gajillionaires. They're making decent money and they're making really, really good games, which is awesome.
Yeah, and
that's great.
The great thing is that these publishers will pick up that indie dev for the title and they'll foot the bill for the publishing and take a little chunk of the profits, which all things considered, that's really not a bad bargain to get your game out there.
No, I'm super excited about an indie game tomorrow. Guacamelee is an indie title.
Hype is real, man.
When you look at that sort of game and when you look at Braid, it doesn't look like what indie in your mind should look like.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
All right. So 10 years ago, overall, not the strongest month in the world, but
there's some good, some bad, but it is what it is.
Not a terrible month. Not like 20 years ago, Dean, when we jump in the Wayback Machine. We go 20 years ago to August of 1998, and we start off with what is possibly the worst Contra game that has been released, and that is C, the Contra Adventure for the original PlayStation.
So I personally never played this game.
This game sucks, Dean. You haven't missed anything.
I looked up some gameplay. I looked up actually about an hour's worth of gameplay on this one because at first I was like, all right, the graphics are bad, but the Contra gameplay is there. Like it's that 2D side-scrolling thing going on, and then all of a sudden I look down for a minute because I'm doing work, and I look back up, and there's this fucking 3D segment going on,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
that just looks wrong, and it looks really bad at that point. I could see frame rate slowing down a little bit, and it was a bold move. Like, I get why you would do that, because at that time, everyone was doing that. That was the thing you did. You put a 3D segment in your game, so I get it, but it did not look great. The music was really bad. It sounded like it was coming out of like a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So it was the wrong generation sound for the game.
This is about as low effort a Contra game as you could get. Like, you are not wrong in that this game just looks disgusting. Even back then, even when we all knew, like, we were trying to kid ourselves that, like, PlayStation games look good. Like, oh, it looks so fucking real. No, fuck, it doesn't. But, like, even then, this game was like, oh, Jesus Christ. That is not good. And then, I mean, just, and the gameplay, like, I mean, the gameplay looked like Contra, but it didn't feel like Contra. I mean, I think I spent probably an hour at most actually playing the game before it was like, well, this is better as a coaster.
Yeah, the 2D segments looked
garbage.
The 2D stuff looks super floaty. I was watching and I was like, this doesn't feel the same way. Like, there's a floatiness to the Contra games, but this, I guess because of the frame rate slowdowns, it looked even worse.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, so
it's bad. It's not fun to play. It's ugly. The music sucks. And the title, like, see, that's what you got. See, the Contra Adventure.
That's pretty bad. Like,
how much? Like, if that is not an indication of how low effort this was, we're not even going to come up with a fucking title. We're just going to call it C.
I'm actually kind of curious what the cover for this game looked like. Oh, well, all right. At least they put on the front cover the Contra Adventure. Like, C is the bigger thing, but the Contra Adventure is large enough. Like, it's not a tiny subtitle or something, because that would have bugged the fuck out of me.
Yeah. But also, like, this isn't an adventure. These types of games are not fuck this game. Fuck this game hard. It's awful.
Hey, I agree. I totally agree with that.
It soured me on the whole franchise for quite a while. Speaking of shit, Dean, we're gonna skip over to an N64 wrestling title. That is WWF Warzone.
Yeah, so, okay, the upside of it is it had some great wrestlers in it. There was a pretty good roster. The downside is Ahmed Johnson was in it.
The downside is that this is when Acclaim Sports was still making WWE games, and this was not AKI. This was not the WC. This is not WrestleMania No Mercy 2000. It is not like, oh, there was another one. No, this was a garbage grappling system, just character models that looked
it was bad.
So weird.
Yeah, they look like flesh tubes. I don't know how to explain it any better. Like, it just literally looked like a bunch of cylinders that someone stitched together and like, I made a wrestler. And I was like, all right, yeah, sure you did, I guess. Fine.
Like, there's some weird proportions in this game where, like, the characters just they just don't look right. You know, and, like, it was better on the PlayStation, but not by much.
I saw the N64 one, and, yeah, there were some things that were pretty bad about it. And not to mention, like, you think of the depth that the other N64 games, like WrestleMania 2000, and specifically No Mercy, because that was the pinnacle. That was the last one, and, man, was that something. But No Mercy you could create your own title. You could, they had all these crazy custom match modes. They had a cool career mode. They had a great create a character mode. They had these cool little cutscenes that weren't great, but they were neat.
Yeah, they were good enough. They accomplished like what could realistically be expected at the time.
And then you had something like this, which didn't even get the entrances right. Like,
yeah, no.
There'd be these weird sparkler things in the background. I think the music would come on for like half a second, and then your character would just sort of meander to the ring. And I'm like, that just looks bad compared to the other games, which, you know, your character walked all the way down the ring. He did his full entrance. Like, it was really fucking cool, and you could tell the people that made WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy definitely put a lot of time and care into it. The best thing about this game, Warzone, was the shitty FMV sequences that they had. Those were goofy fun.
Well, that, and it was so bad that it got AKI the license instead.
Yeah.
Like
so I would say the one upside is if you ever want to see young Dwayne Johnson with a shitty goatee and tall ass hair, this is the game for it.
This is the game for you.
Oh yeah, man, he had both. Like, I thought my eyes were falling out or something because I was like, that doesn't even look like The Rock. That looks like another guy. I don't even know who that is. This is disgusting.
So
Please
bad.
get this away from me.
So bad.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
a bad game.
This is the Contra adventure of wrestling game. It's
yeah,
that bad.
I agree. Yeah.
So, according to my research, Dean, again, not something that was on Chris's notes, which I find odd that he would leave it out. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not going to double check sources. Apparently, in 1998, August, Mega Man Legends came out. What are your thoughts on Mega Man Legends?
I'm not a huge fan of Mega Man Legends, actually.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah. So, you know, you have Mega Man regular, which is a platformer. Particularly, most of them came out on the NES at that point. You had probably one on the PlayStation. Yeah, I think Mega Man 8 was just on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then you had Mega Man X, which was released largely on the PlayStation. I think the first one was on the Super Nintendo, and then the rest might have been on the PlayStation.
I think it was X4 started on the PlayStation.
Oh, okay. I thought it was X3 and X4. But, yeah, like, those were primarily platformer games. Like, as different as they were, at points, they were just platformer games. Then you have this game, which is like a 3D exploration game. And man, was it fucking weird. It was real fucking weird. I also think maybe the reason Kris didn't pick up on this is because it was 97 in Japan and it was 98 in North America.
Ah, okay. That might be why. Because, I mean, like...
You are correct. It's August 31st, 98 in North America.
So, like, this game is such a huge departure from the Mega Man series. I mean, this is 3D... you know, no longer side-scrolling. This is polygon Mega Man.
Some polygon-ass Mega Man.
It is as polygon AF, as the cool kids say. And, again, much like every time we talk about PlayStation games, it's like, yeah, it's ugly now.
I mean, even for what it was at the time, I feel like it was ugly even back then because I wanted to like this game. I liked the design. You know, Mega Man didn't have his helmet on, or he was like Rockman Volnut or something.
Yeah, Mega
anyway,
Man Volnut.
Yeah. So I liked that. Yeah, it was fucking weird.
It's not a great name.
It's not. But I like the idea what they were doing. I thought like exploring around, checking everything out would have been cool. And then I played it, and I did play it a bit after, but I played it, and like I didn't like the way it controlled. I didn't like the way it looked. I thought most of the characters are kind of stupid, besides like one or two of them. And like to me, I appreciate that Capcom did something new, and it did garner a new sect for Mega Man because there are a rabid group of fans for this game, this title series.
Oh, dude, for a large segment of Mega Man fans, this is Mega Man to them. Yeah. And the side-scrolling games were something weird and different and not their Mega Man.
See, and for me, this is not my Mega Man. This is
me
weird.
either. Me either. It's
So-
a weird game, and I'm
Yeah.
with you. Like, it's not one that I love. I was really excited for, like, when all those rumors were going around about Legends 3 coming out and all of that stuff. Like, I was into the idea because I still think a 3D Mega Man could be done really, really well. But where this game was so weird, like where it fell short of my expectations when it first came out was that this did not play at all like I wanted it to.
No,
It was
no.
much slower. It did not have the fluidity of combat that I would have expected from 3D Mega Man.
From what I remember, I could be very wrong, but I remember you only being able to turn on like a 90-degree radius. So like you were just one side, you were up, down, left, right. There was no like really in between for where you were turning after that. I could be wrong. It could have been just not great controls, but I just remember the controls being sloppy at the very least.
Yeah, controls are not great for this. And for a franchise that was so based off of like pinpoint, like pixel perfect precision for what you needed to accomplish in the side-scrolling platformers, to have such a radical departure in the quality of controls was quite disappointing at the time.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah.
if you were not somebody who came to this franchise from the side-scrollers, there is still a lot to like here. There's still a, cute if nonsensical story. The voice acting or the script is not terrible. The music is not terrible. Like I said, it looks ugly now, but at the time, I would argue this was one of the better looking Mega Man games, or better looking 3D platformers that was out at the time.
Yeah, the top side stuff, like when you weren't in the dungeon, was bright and colorful, and that stuff I liked. It was when you went down below to the dungeon, and I get it's supposed to look dingy and dark, but they took it to a whole new level.
They did. Some of the characters, like you said, are ridiculous and goofy, but there's something endearing about some of those characters. Obviously, which is shown to be true with the disappointment that a lot of people felt with the cancellation of Legends 3, and the if the internet is to be taken for any sort of credible source, there is still a ton of fan support and art and love that is lavished upon this series. So, I mean, not something for us necessarily, but I get why this was kind of a big deal at the time. And it was back when Capcom still gave a shit, which they don't seem to anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, they do to an extent, but I feel like Mega Man has really gotten the shaft for a lot of stuff.
It really
hopefully
has.
With Mega Man 11 coming out, we'll see maybe a bit more, but
I want it to be great. I am very hopeful. But let us end before we break for commercials with what I think is possibly the best game of the 10, 20, 30 this time around.
I was going to say, yeah, this is a high. We're going to end with a high before the break, at least.
Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Now, spoilers, if I'm not sure if it's this week or next week, but if you've been following along with my weekly series here, the Kung Fu Fridays, I will be talking about Tenchu a little bit, and the film that I paired it with. I think I came up with a pretty good little pairing here. But Tenchu Stealth Assassins was a game that, when it released in August of 1998, there was nothing quite like this that we had ever played. And
yes,
it was such a revelation of...
Yeah.
I think what I wrote in my article was this was the first time where you played a game as a ninja like a ninja.
Like a ninja, yeah.
This was a stealth game. I mean, you were sneaking around this village with, stereotypically offensive, but still kind of charming and endearing voice acting. and a really cool story, and the graphics, as blocky as they were, they used the limitations of what the polygonal effect that all of these games had. They used those limitations in a really smart way to blend backgrounds together to make it so that you had shadows to sneak through and rooftops to climb on, and this game was just so fucking awesome.
Now, I have to agree with everything about the gameplay. You're absolutely right. Like, there's nothing like it at the time. It controlled pretty well, and just the gameplay, like the basics of it, just made sense. It's like, all right, I'm a ninja. I gotta sneak up, kill everything, get to the target. That was all awesome.
There was an intentionality in the gameplay. Like, you could not. This is not a game like Metal Gear Solid. If you want to run and gun through it, you can. You cannot do that in Tenchu. Or at least I never could. Like, I was never good enough at the game to be able to be like, I'm so badass at the combat.
No,
anyway.
Running and stabbing would be difficult.
Yeah,
my one hang up about the game, well, two, the one smaller than the other. The first one, which is a little bit larger, is you said, the backgrounds worked and stuff, but from what I remember about the game, some of the levels had no background. It was just black. Now, I get it. It's nighttime, but, give me a little something. Like, it almost looked unfinished to a point. And that, like, it's not a huge hang-up because, again, the big thing you could just write it off as is it's nighttime, so it's black. And I'm like, all right, I get it. Just there's no draw distance or anything, which, again, probably not a thing back then.
Yeah,
but
absolutely zero. And you're not wrong. Yeah. There are just some straight up, there is nothing here. It's just black.
Yeah, but again, the gameplay was solid. So, you look past things like that. And the other thing, which is a lot smaller, is, you're saying the voice acting wasn't great, but it was endearing. I'm saying it's goofy as fuck. Like, oh, man. Like, that was some bad voice acting.
Oh, God, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But there is, I think,
there's an endearing point to it.
Quality to it. It is.
I can concede that, yeah.
Looking at it through a modern lens, through a more woke lens, if you were, there is a lot to be offended by in the way that the voice actors are portrayed. Because people just don't speak that way. But still, at the time, like, it feels very much like a complete product of what they were going for. And if you, like, for older listeners out there, if you remember the ancient Chinese secret commercial, that is the way that all of these, like, not all, but a lot of the characters in this game spoke, which is not how Asian people speak. It is not a cadence that is typically found to come from any human voice box. However, it was a thing, and it kind of seems like what they were going for. That being said, the other thing that I thought was super cool about this game was that you had two completely separate characters to play through, each with their own story. Like, it wasn't just male ninja, female ninja, and we cut and copy the same story over. Ayane, the female, had a completely different story from the main character, which is really cool and was, again, very different for the time.
Yeah, it was weird to see branching paths like that, and I do agree with what you're saying there. I think that was very unique for it. I don't remember them being super different. I mean, there were definitely, like, some dialogue changes and stuff, but I don't remember it being much more different than that. I could be wrong.
They are. I mean, they're certainly related. Like, Rikimaru and Ayame are in the same, like, you're in the same setting, and the overall story itself is the same, but the goals and what you're doing are very, very different from,
right.
Going after Lord Goda, and the way that you take him down.
It's been a long time, so I'm probably just remembering a little wrong, because I haven't played this game since, like, the 99, 2000. It's been a while.
It is such a great game. It is a franchise that I would love to see come back. It was just so different and such a breath of fresh air. And the boss fights were cool. Once you got outside of the village and got actually into some of the different buildings inside, like there was just really cool stuff that you could do. All of the different items you could get. It has a sequel, which is also really great. If you have never played Tenchu Stealth Assassins, this is absolutely a game that you should pick up. Absolutely.
Yeah, and don't just take our word for it. Like, the Completionist did a whole video about it. And, I mean, he has the same feelings about it. It's a good game. So, yeah, check it out if you get a chance. It's a really, really cool entry, and it's probably as good as it's going to get for this episode.
For this 10, 20, 30. And
we
shameless plug.
Yeah,
check out my Kung Fu Fridays article.
Yes, absolutely. But we have some more shit to talk about when we come back from break, right?
That's right. So
can't wait.
We're gonna get to some commercials. We'll pay the proverbial bills. Stick around.
And now here's a look at some of the other original content available right now at geekade.com.
First. Good.
I'm done. I'm good. All right. All right, here we go. First up, everyone loves the Blob. No, not the hideous X-Men villain, the 1988 remake of the horror classic. Geekade's Ernie Rockelman takes a deep dive into why 30 years later, Chuck Russell's take on the 1958 sci-fi horror staple is still an important film today. Be sure to give a read to Celebrating 30 Years of the Blob, located in the think tank.
Man, we used to be so much more simple as a people. Like, oh, it's a fucking blob! And, like, that was the scariest thing anybody could think of.
Also, the original Blob had, of Bullet fame, Steve McQueen in it.
Well, it's a pretty dope fucking movie.
Yeah, Next. It has a really shitty theme song, though.
You are not wrong. Next, Dean, the gang has taken two of Marvel Comics' giant sapien dogs out for walkies. In Miss Marvel 8 and 9, Kamala Khan is out to stop the kidnapping schemes of Reverse Dr. Robotnik, but will she get distracted by Lockjaw, the Inhumans' supremely huggable doggo? Plus, the time has come for the Warriors 3 Dog Day Afternoon by Bill Fables Willingham, guest starring Helen Gable, the seriously swole mad scientist who everyone treats like she fulfilled some grand redemption arc when she did nothing of the sort. Don't miss this and more in Nonstop Comic Shop, episode 29, Doggy Bag. That is the fucking first and only time I will say Swole. Well, second.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, unless you're referring to Brock Lesnar, he's pretty swole. Actually, Bobby Lashley, more swole.
Without question.
Chad Gable, though, not so swole.
Not so much.
Well, all right, Dan. Finally, in an all-new Mutant Musings, Jonathan and Patty discuss multiple cables. All right. Lewd mutant nicknames, and a pirate man that surprisingly has nothing to do with Mega Man and Bass. Then, for their monthly mutant memories, they discuss Karma's early appearances, including a tiff with her own twin brother that ended with his death. Sort of. Check out Mutant Musings episode 30, Harder Than Steel, with an E. Very fancy.
like Michael Steele, former head of the Republican National Committee.
Not like real steel?
Not like real steel.
Oh, man, Hugh Jackman.
Oh, God, I totally forgot about that movie. Oh, Jesus. What a horrible... You can catch all this great stuff, plus tons of other articles, videos, podcasts, and more right now at geekade.com.
Check out, I'm playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots!
Ew. And we're back. Dean and I have just finished a thrilling round of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and yes, that is a euphemism. So we're going to jump back 30 years now, Dean, in the Wayback Machine, looking back at, oh boy, for the C64, the Atari ST, and Microsoft DOS. I am talking about none other than Street Fighter.
So,
Now.
I mean, let's talk about this for a minute. The one thing that this game had going for it in the arcade was that it looked pretty good. It didn't play well.
No.
It didn't sound great.
Nope.
But it did look all right. And then you have these iterations of it, and at best, the Atari ST one at least still looks like the arcade version, but it doesn't play like it. It plays worse. It plays at like 12 frames a second, and it just looks bad. And then the other two don't even look like the fucking game.
No,
and
they
I'm like,
don't.
I don't even understand what's going on here. The DOS version looks like something else entirely. It looks like a 4-year-old went into MS Paint and was like, I want to make Ryu. And that's what happened. It's so bad. Oh my God.
It's so bad. Like, and this was before we all gave a shit about Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah, like Street Fighter wasn't even a thing back then.
This is, I mean, the first Street Fighter game, if you haven't played it, you shouldn't. Because it's awful. It sucks. It just sucks on toast. It is nigh unplayable compared to really what anyone would realistically expect from a fighting game. That being said, like you said, Dean, in the arcade, when you saw it, it was like, oh, this looks really badass. Like, they're these big sprites, and the computer certainly moved pretty well, and the special moves looked cool, and the character designs were interesting and all of that. But man, when you look back, like, MS-DOS was just not a good platform for what you would think of as a modern video game. You know, King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, great. Bushido, which is a fucking fighting game that I played on DOS, loved it. It was awesome. Comparatively speaking, this is just the hottest of garbage.
Coolest thing about this is there was a ninja guy in it. That's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, that was about as good as you were going to get from that. So the less time spent on that, the better. However, one of the other really probably my second favorite game that came out this 10/20/30 would be Life Force for the NES. Is this something that you have any experience with, Dean?
So I've heard people talk about this, but I haven't heard it talked about with Life Force. I've heard people talk about it with the Japanese name, which is Salamander, which I fucking cool. Call it Salamander. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the minute I saw this, I was like, this looks like Gradius, and then I Googled it, and it's a spin-off of Gradius. It's a simplified version of Gradius.
Yeah.
And man, does it look great, and does it play well? Because when I got home, I got myself a copy of it, and I popped it in, played it for a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Why haven't I heard of this before? Reason being, stuff that also came out this year, not this month, this year. 1943, Blaster Master, Metal Gear, Super Mario Brothers 2, Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. There was a lot of stuff overshadowing this.
Yeah.
But it's
Which is a shame.
Game.
I love this game.
Yeah.
Love this game. Really cool enemies, really cool boss fights. Like you said, as an offshoot of Gradius, perhaps a little bit more of a simplified version, but still played just as well as those games did. I mean, these were the games that like fostered my love of shmups, you know, like, and I know they're not for everybody. But man, this game there was a good sense of speed and weight to your ship as you were moving around. The power-ups are cool. I mean, I fucking love this game. Life Force is great, and this is like the little Easter egg in either I think it's Blades of Steel. It could be Double Dribble. I forget which one now because I'm old and tired. Where you get to play a little version of Life Force in between periods.
That's cool.
But just such a cool little thing. And one of the... Back in the day when Konami was releasing games on the NES, they had these really gorgeous silver box covers. And, just silver up on the sides and up on the top with, nice graphic in the middle. And just this cool fucking dragon snake looking thing on the front of it. Just a badass box cover. This game is just awesome and is one of those ones that, like you said, you run pretty much a video game website, Dean, and this is not something you've heard of, which is a shame.
Yeah.
That's a gigantic shame. And you're right. 1988 was a gigantic year for video games. Life Force has its place there, though. Like, I think it's better than 1943. Completely different game, not genre-wise necessarily, but content-wise. Couldn't be more different. You're talking about a biplane in World War II versus, out in outer space with dragons and phoenixes or sphinxes and all types of weird shit.
Yeah.
But, man, what a badass game this is, and absolutely something. If you are a fan of shoot-'em-ups, if you are a shmup fan and Life Force or Salamander, if you want to be a dick about it, have never played, absolutely pick this game up. Just awesome.
100%. Yeah, really, really cool game. I'm actually kind of sad I didn't know about this when I made my choice for the shmup I'm playing for the Pain in the Ass-a-thon. Because I said, I don't care, pick something. So Kris picked Fantasy Zone, which is super fucking difficult.
And
it's not going to be easy.
No.
But I wish I picked something like this because this looked like a fun game to play during it. But whatever, I'll just tear my fucking hair out and
that's fine.
Play Fantasy Zone. Yeah, everyone's going to be looking forward to that.
It'd be a good time.
Let's go with a mixed bag here. Let's talk about our next one.
So, Tetris in the arcade came out 30 years ago.
Yeah, so...
And it's Tetris.
Yeah.
In the arcade.
The only notable thing to really talk about here is this is not, the Tetris that was on your... Well, I mean, it could have been. This is the Tengen Tetris. This is the Atari version of Tetris. So this doesn't have, the music that you are typically used to with Tetris. This has a kind of custom soundtrack, which is cool. Also, I believe the shapes are different colors than they normally would be.
They're different colors, and they're not individual blocks put together to make up the shape.
They're not.
They're solid pieces.
Yeah, it's a little weird, especially if you've never seen one before. It had a really cool stat tracking system, though, on the side as you were playing, because you could do versus, I believe.
Yeah, there was a nice two-player mode where you could, play right next to the person, standing there. So that was cool.
The cool thing was when you weren't doing two-player, they put on that part of the screen rather than taking it away totally and making it its own thing, which would have been nice in its own right, but if you want to be lazy, sure. They were, and they made like a little stat screen that went there, so you got to see
cool.
What was happening. There was a high score and stuff, but I mean, essentially it was this Tetris. Again, the most notable thing was this was Atari trying to pump out games, Tetris games, before they lost the license, because Nintendo was like, no, this is a big deal. We want this.
Oh, wait, this is a huge thing. We're going to keep this forever.
Yeah, fun fact, if you've never seen it, I believe Norm Caruso, I believe his name is, the gaming historian, did a fun little feature about Tetris, which is really worth watching. It's a cute little documentary that's, I think, like 15, 20 minutes, and covers, like, everything. It's very exhaustive about, like, what was going on business-wise with Tetris. And it talks a little bit about what Tengen and Atari were doing back then, and, kind of Nintendo battling for who got the rights to this game, which was owned by the Russian government, which makes it even more fucking insane.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
Also,
so
this one has the super douchey backwards R in the logo, which looks just as bad here as it does in the logo for Corn.
Yes. Yeah. So
which I understand. Before anybody gets like all up in a tree, I do understand that there is a reason that the art is backwards. I'm just saying, when you Americanize version of something, it just looks like you were trying to. It didn't look good.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a bad version of play. I mean, if you're ever
it's Tetris.
an arcade, yeah, and you want to play some Tetris, it's cool. You can verse someone. I
love Tetris.
It has its place, yeah, and it's interesting because this version of Tetris will probably never ever get remade. So if you ever come across one, you're looking for an arcade cabinet, this is probably a cool one to get.
Yeah, very cool. And I'm happy that this existed. This Tetris is one of those games that is super fun to play by yourself. I've talked about it. It's probably the game that I've played more than any other game, and will probably continue to be that throughout my life, because it is just so fun and simple and easy to pick up and play, and it just seems to never get old. It is such a beautifully simplistic game, and just an absolutely brilliant creation, and in my opinion, one of the most important video games ever released. That being said,
agree. Yeah,
it's super fun to play next to somebody too, where you can talk shit and do the whole competitive aspect of it. Made it really, really fun. So
absolutely,
if you see it, definitely check it out. The final game that we are going to talk about this week, however, is another NES game, and that is World Class Track Meet.
Stadium events. Talk about stadium events, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So technically, we are. First, it was called Stadium Events. It came as a package. With I forget the name of the company because it wasn't Nintendo. Nintendo was just publishing it, but there's another company that was doing it. It was part of like some health and family thing, and it was called Stadium Events.
It was Bandai. It was part of the Family Fun Fitness thing that they were doing.
Yeah, Nintendo was like, "Holy shit, this is kind of cool." Well, we're gonna do it now, and we want all this stuff that you did with it. So I guess they bought up the rights. And they produced it through themselves, and they renamed it World Class Track Meet.
Yep.
And it came with the power pad and everything. And it's really fun. If you've never played it before and you get a chance, it's cool. The power pad is essentially the Nintendo controller mapped out on this like almost DDR-esque pad, where you're stomping to hit the button.
Right, and when Dean says stomping, he means everybody cheated and got down on their hands and knees and just slapped at it really quickly, instead of actually trying to run.
Yes, because otherwise you would get super exhausted. It had a bunch of modes. There was a hurdle mode. There was just a regular sprint mode. There were two other modes I can't remember off the top of my head. But then on top of that, there was an Olympic mode in which you could verse your friends and play through all 4 events to see who was the best cheater of them all.
This game is awesome. It's super fun. It is a great way to spend some time, couch co-op or couch multiplayer. It is a great way to spend some time. However, you are going to be playing World Class Track Meet because most likely you listening to this podcast will never own a copy of Stadium Events, even if you are the most hardcore of hardcore Nintendo collectors, because the original release, Stadium Events, by Bandai, is considered to be the rarest Nintendo game there is. They just did not make a ton of these to begin with, and then once it was rebranded as World Class Track Meet, the original copies of it started to disappear. And I mean, this is a game we're talking about, like sealed copies of this game go for like upwards of $30,000. Like this is the piece. if you are a Nintendo collector, this is the one that you have to have that you probably will never have.
Yeah, in most actual, like, even casual people know about this game to an extent because there was kind of a boom for it when, like, stadium events became this thing. Everyone had to have it, blah, blah, blah. And it created a vacuum where now, you know, this game is worth stupid amounts of money. $30,000 is a lot.
Just dumb amounts of money.
Yeah,
But that being said, if you can have access to a power pad, because you cannot play this any other way. There is no controller option for world-class track.
Correct.
You play with the power pad. If you can get together and play this game, it is a ton of fun. It's fucking hard. Like, if you actually try and play it right, like, you will find out just how goddamn slow you are. And how not great this technology was back in the day. But damn, super fun game.
Yeah,
and, that about wraps us up, Dean. That's our show. Not
it
bad.
is. I'm sad. I feel bad about that now.
It's okay.
All right. I guess I'm gonna go back in my corner and keep doing the meth now.
That's fair. You
Actually,
should,
I'm probably
however,
gonna play Dead Cells, I guess, or play Guacamelee tomorrow.
That makes sense. You should, however, Dean, definitely check out our show next week, because that's when Kris and I are going to be finishing out the summer series, where we're going to be talking about Pulseman for the Sega Genesis and Metal Storm for the Nintendo Entertainment System, both games that won our poll. And it was super close between Pulseman and Jurassic Park, but Pulseman edged it out, I think, by like 2 votes. Like, it was super close.
Pulseman being an edgelord.
Yeah, Pulseman is edging.
Yeah, he's always edging.
Some people get it, and you're all laughing right now, and the rest of you are like, edging? Don't look it up. I mean, do, whatever.
He's got the blue balls.
You're an adult. It's fine. Yep. And if you're not an adult, I'm going to stop. Once again, you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com, as well as all flavors, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, of social media that we inhabit. You can like us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram @Geekade. You can subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels for all of our latest video content. And, Dean, did you know that the good people out there in Listenerland can follow us on Twitter @the_Geekade?
I've heard of such things.
Have you?
Rumor has it, you guys are also on Twitter.
Word around the campfire is that you can... The Campfinder. Jesus Christ, I'm tired.
That's a nice app.
You can... Campfinder? It's a lot like Tinder for different things.
Orgies in the forest.
You can find us individually on Twitter. Kris is at Geekade Kris. I'm at Geekade Dan. And Dean, where can the good people find you on the Twitterverse?
At Kimono_Vestlord.
Still the best Twitter handle out of all of us. If you're interested in more information about anything Dean and I talked about tonight, be sure to check out the show notes. While you're at it, you can also subscribe to this and all of our other fine podcasts, which are available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to get your podcast from. And if you're super nice, you can leave us a review. Any and all feedback is always welcome and appreciated. We'd also like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan. See, Kris, I got it right. For making the show listenable for all you folks. And we'd also like to thank Mark TDK Knight for our show's theme. You can check him out on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, or his website, which we will have a link to in the show notes. Again, always remember to keep your eyes on geekade.com for even more fresh, original content. Thanks a lot for doing this, Dean.
Happy to be here, man.
Thanks for picking up Kris's slack. Who goes on vacation?
Yeah, he's just being a piece of shit lately. I don't know, man.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
No dedication to the show, Dean. None.
I know. It's not like he's been doing
I'm
this.
always here.
Yeah.
I don't miss time.
I know.
Ever.
I know, Dan. Yeah,
Yes,
it's like
God.
I get it. Yeah.
Goddamn
I'm gonna have a talk with him.
Please do.
I'm feeling a pay cut, but him and I have to talk about it first.
I support your pay cut of Kris.
He's going to have to start paying me now.
There you go. That works. That makes sense. All right. That's it, everybody, for Kris Randazzo, for Evan Goldstein, for Matthew Much, for Dean DeFalco, for Dan Ryan. I am Dan Ryan. Keep playing games.
I'm Brian Fellow.
I'm Brian Fellows. Live every week like it's Shark Week.